Wow. That is something. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Well, one thing we know, we get the biggest crowds by far. If crowds mean anything, we're going to have a great Tuesday. That's for sure. Hello, Montana. I said I was coming back, and I'm back. And I'm back for a lot of good reasons, but two good reasons in particular. We'll get into that, but I am thrilled to be with you in this great state. I love this state. And you like me based on those numbers. Those were wonderful numbers. 2016, we had one of the all-time exciting days ever. It was something. Greatest movement, greatest political movement in our history. Thank you. And I want to thank Montana. Believe me, you were a big part of it. Big part of it. Big part. In just 3 days, the people of Montana are going to send a great man, Matt Rosendale, to the United States Senate to protect your jobs, defend your borders, and continue with what we're doing, and we're getting there fast. Make America great again, right? See all those hats? All those hats, look at those hats. This is one of the most important elections of our entire lives. This election will decide whether we build on the extraordinary prosperity that we've achieved or whether we let the radical Democrats take control of Congress and take a giant wrecking ball to our economy and to the future of our nation. America now has the best economy in the history of our country. Can you believe this? Right? I said it was going to happen. I just didn't know it was going to happen this fast. It's happened fast. You saw those numbers yesterday. In the last month alone, we added another 250,000 jobs and nearly 500,000 Americans. It's now going to be almost 600,000 Americans returned to the workforce. Since Election Day, we've created 4.5 million new jobs. Think of that. If I ever said that during the campaign, they would not have allowed that to happen. They would have cut it. You know the way they cut the good stuff. They cut all the good stuff out. They would have cut that out. The unemployment rate just fell to the lowest level in more than 50 years. More Americans are working today than ever before. Nearly 157 million Americans now have jobs. We've never been there before, not even very close. African American, Hispanic American, and Asian American unemployment has reached the lowest levels in the history of our country. That's not a bad soundbite. Is that a good soundbite? How do you lose a debate? Let's say we're debating the radical liberal Democrat over here. And they go, oh, they're going to help jobs. I say, well, we had the highest jobs, the best employment number ever, the best unemployment numbers ever. What do they say? How do they counteract that? They'll figure something. They'll figure something. They'll think of something like Russia. Let's see, Russia. Let's blame Russia. We won't say that she was a lousy candidate, and we won't say certainly that he was a very good candidate. We would never say that. Veterans' unemployment recently hit its lowest rate in nearly 20 years. Wages, beautiful wages for the first time in years. Wages are rising. Confidence is soaring. You saw the confidence level? Business confidence, consumer confidence, every form of confidence is at an all-time high or very close. And America is booming. Republicans passed a massive tax cut for working families, and we will soon follow it up with another 10% tax cut for the middle class. And we've ended the war on clean, beautiful coal, and we are putting, and you see it better than almost anybody, our coal miners. They're all back to work, and they're going back to work. Clean coal, clean coal. Nobody thought that was going to happen so fast either. You know, I was in West Virginia yesterday. Great people. They like the mines also, you know that, right? Who makes better coal? Who's got better coal? Huh? Well, they say they do. You both do. But I talked to the leaders of foreign countries. They love our coal. And we're 65, either 55. I've heard two numbers. I've heard 55% and 65. Either one is okay. Increase in the export of coal to foreign countries this year. And by the way, it's going much. They've just gotten started because I make them buy it. You know, we have these crazy deficits and we have these horrible trade deals. So I go in as, you got to buy our stuff. You got to buy our coal. You got to buy our oil. You got to buy our equipment and our planes and our tractors. You got to buy our tractors. You got to buy everything because we're not going to stand for this imbalance. And they're buying like crazy. They're buying so much they don't even need it. They just want to have me be happy. They want me to be happy. So they're buying your coal and they're buying everything. They're buying it. And if they don't buy it, they got problems, right? They got problems. And we're strongly protecting Montana farmers, ranchers, and loggers. We have not forgotten you people. That I can tell you. And don't forget, for the ranchers and for the small farmers and some pretty big ones too, you don't have estate taxes anymore to worry about. When you leave your farm, you leave your ranch, you leave your things to your children don't have to go out and, remember they used to have the expression, mortgage the farm? That was for a reason. They'd mortgage the farm to pay the estate taxes. You don't have any death tax, estate tax, same thing. You don't have the death tax anymore. Got rid of that. Steve Daines helped a lot. They all helped. Steve Daines, good guy. Saw him speaking up here before. I saw him speaking. That guy is terrific. Hello, folks. So you don't have, think of that. Think of what that means. So seriously. Now, if you love your children, you can leave that farm or the ranch or your logging equipment, your logging stuff, your trees. You can leave whatever the hell you want if you like them. If you don't like them, then you don't care too much about this particular tax. But if you love them, you can leave them and they won't have to mortgage the farm or mortgage whatever it is you're leaving because they don't have to pay estate tax anymore. Nice, right? Nice. That's a big one. A lot of people don't talk about these things like that. Under Republican leadership, America is respected again. And America is winning again because we are finally putting America first. It's been a long time. Weeks ago, we achieved another incredible victory for our nation. We proudly confirmed the newest member of the United States Supreme Court, Justice Brett Kavanaugh. And Senator Tester voted against. And I don't know if you just heard, did you hear? One of his accusers, false accusations, just came out a little while ago and said it was all a lie, that she never met now Justice Kavanaugh. She never met. It was a made-up story. She made up the story. It was a lie. It was a total lie. It was fake. You know what fake means? It was fake. Now think of that. She lied about the story about rape. About rape, she lied. And then we're supposed to sit back and take it. And supposing he didn't get to be, and he's a tremendous man. And by the way, what about the others? What about the others? When are they going to say what happened? And supposing he didn't get, supposing we didn't stick. A lot of people said, you know, you stuck with him, sir. It was great. Supposing I didn't. Supposing I was like most other politicians. And I said, oh, let's cut and let's pick somebody else. We don't do that stuff, because I always knew. But she just came out and she said it was a lie. It's a damn disgrace. And supposing he was forced to drop out and not become, this is a great intellect, a great scholar, Yale, one of the top, for years they've been saying he should be in the Supreme Court. Supposing because of these lies and this lie, these lies, by the way, these lies, but this lie, supposing he dropped out. A lot of guys would have. I give him credit also for sticking it out. That was brutal. So supposing he dropped out, we pick somebody else to go through the process. Somebody else goes to the United States Supreme Court, but he drops out. And he dropped out because of a filthy, dirty lie. Think about that. How about that, right? But you people knew what was going on. But you know what? Your senator, Tester, what he did was terrible. What he did to now Justice Kavanaugh, Judge Kavanaugh at that time, was terrible. It was terrible. And what the Democrats did to him was terrible. It was a disgrace. Okay, and I have to say it. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, if they gain the majority, they will try to plunge our country. And it's not even a question of trying. It's what's going to happen, because their policy is so bad. You know, they're lousy politicians, and they have lousy policy, but they stick together. One thing I'll say, they stick together. They really do, the Democrats. It doesn't matter what, even a hoax like they tried to pull off with Judge Kavanaugh, they stick together, or the Russian hoax with the election. They use that as an excuse because Hillary Clinton lost. Next time they'll learn, you got to go and you got to campaign in Wisconsin. You got to campaign harder in Pennsylvania. You got to campaign in Michigan. You got to campaign harder in North Carolina. You know? Not Russia. So they use that. I call it the Russian hoax. It's a hoax. And they use that as an excuse for losing the Electoral College that is set up that they should win the Electoral. I mean, you'd have to run the whole East Coast. You have to win so much. And it's set up. The Democrats should easily win. But you know what? Hopefully, 2020 is going to come along. We're going to do even better. Even better. And Montana was with me right from the beginning. But you remember these people back there, some of them I see. That's a big crowd of people on a Saturday afternoon. The media. Do you remember? There is no path to 270. You need 207. There is no path to 270 for me. But we got 306. 306. We got states that they didn't think about. We got states that haven't been won by a Republican in a long time, and they're great states, and they're very happy right now because they're doing very well, just like Montana is doing very well. The Democrats want to raise your taxes, restore job-killing regulations. It will kill it. Those regulations, don't underestimate that. The tax cuts were important, but those regulations would have plunged this country. You would have gone down. 4.2% GDP, you would have gone way down. You would have started at zero, and you would have gone down a lot. They want to shut down your coal mines, that you know. They want to shut down the timber mills, that you know. But you know they're going to shut down the coal. Oh, they're going crazy over the nice, beautiful, clean coal. And the beautiful thing is, if we have a national emergency, if we have a problem, big problem, there's nothing like coal. You'll truck that stuff around. If the roads aren't there, you'll turn it around and go through a tree. Those windmills, number one, when the wind doesn't blow, they tend not to do too well, right? They tend not to do too well, and they're extremely costly, and they need subsidy. We're paying massive subsidy, and of course they kill all the birds. Other than that, they're wonderful. They don't work too well in times of national emergency. We say, we need more energy, but the wind isn't blowing. One thing with coal, that sucker, you just keep piling it in there, right? Right? Those miners. The miners knew what they were doing. And I don't want to speak badly about natural gas because I know it. But they drop a little something in one of those pipelines, that's the end of the natural gas, right? But the coal just keeps coming. So just hang in there, folks. You're doing fantastically well, and I'm with you 100%. But they would have killed the coal industry. It was gone. It was another year or two, the regulations. People that are in the industry, they came up to me, they said, it's one of the greatest miracles we've ever seen because we had another year to live. It was gone. Most of them were closed up anyway. And now, West Virginia, you have to see what's happened there, what's happened here, what's happened in other places. It's really incredible. And if you look at iron ore, where you need the miners also, what's going on there? We've revived the steel business. And now we're taking in Minnesota. We opened it up, the finest in the world, the iron ore. And it's coming in. Instead of dumping crap all over our country, they dump steel in order to put our steel plants out of business. And then what they'll do is after they're totally out, and by the way, you talk about the coal industry, the steel industry was dead. It was going to be dead within a couple of years. It was on its last legs, and now it's one of the hottest industries in our country. You have to see U.S. Steel, what they're doing, Nucor, building new plants, expanding old plants. And we're doing good steel, quality steel. We're not taking the junk that gets dumped on our borders. I know a lot about steel. When you have good structural steel for buildings and for things like airplanes, jet fighters, commercial planes, you want the finest steel in the world. You don't want stuff that was dumped on you shore. You have no idea what the hell is in there. So it's a whole different world, but our steel industry is booming. They'll end up taking away your health care. You know what's going on with that? It's such a disaster. You'll end up tripling your tax. Your tax is going to go through the roof, and it still won't pay for it. They basically want to impose socialism in the United States. They want to erase your borders. Yeah, socialism hasn't done very well for Venezuela. Would you say that's not too good? You know, Venezuela, 20 years ago, less, was the wealthiest country in that part of the world by far. Today, they can't buy a loaf of bread. That's socialism. That's socialism. The Democrats want to invite caravan after caravan of illegal aliens to flood into your communities, depleting our resources and overwhelming our nation. We don't want that. And did you see where Homeland Security, they were saying, how do you know? How do you know? There's some bad people, as I said the other, bad hombres. There's some bad hombres in that group. So they came out with a list of 300 really bad ones. Really bad ones. They're in there. And now they have worse caravans, actually. Worse caravans being formed. It's terrible. The Democrats only believe in defending the borders of foreign countries. They don't want to defend our border, but of foreign countries, that's fine. And we're straightening that whole mess out, too. It's happening fast. Republicans believe we must defend our borders. We have to defend the borders of our country, and that country is a country that we love, the United States of America. The choice in this election could not be more simple. A Republican Congress means more jobs and less crime. A Democrat Congress means more crime and less jobs. Very simple, right? I like that. Nothing like simplicity. So this Tuesday, you have to get out and vote. Just make sure. Do it sooner. I guess you can't do it later. Unless you're a Democrat, then you can do it later. Then you can. I'm sure they'll have no problem. Joining us this afternoon is your terrific Republican senator, who's a real friend of mine, Steve Daines. Where is Steve, by the way? Where is he? I got it. Come here, Steve. I know he just spoke. I saw him on the plane. Unfortunately, you couldn't hear him. You couldn't listen to the beautiful words. But so Steve had a little family problem because during our big vote, as you know, he was here. I said, Steve, why don't you bring the beautiful couple that it is? Bring them to Washington. We'll make it a historic marriage. But I'll tell you one thing. If we needed his vote, he was on the line. He was ready to take off, weren't you, huh? He's been my friend. He's been our friend, and he loves you folks. Thanks, Steve. Fantastic guy. Thank you. On Tuesday, the people of Montana are going to head to the polls to elect a great new senator to serve alongside of Steve and to represent your state, and they will represent your state very well, both the people that I'm talking about. Remember this, they vote for Matt Rosendale, who is a worker, is a vote for low taxes, low unemployment, strong borders, and Montana values, real Montana values. A vote for Matt's opponent, far-left Democrat Jon Tester, by the way, who will never vote for us, just so you understand. I know he's saying wonderful things now about me. And he might be a nice guy, except he tried to destroy Admiral Ronnie Jackson, who was the most clean-cut, wonderful person that you've ever met. He tried to destroy him. And I've never forgotten it. And it's honestly one of the reasons that I've been here so much. It really is. It really is. It really is. It's a disgrace what he did to that man. He was President Obama's doctor, President Bush's doctor. He was an admiral and a doctor. His son graduated last year, high in his class from Annapolis. His son is this beautiful, great son, this incredible family and wife. He tried to destroy that man. All because I said, Ronnie, what do you think about heading up the VA? And he didn't want it. He said, sir, I'll do whatever your order is. I said, well, I don't want to make it an order. Would you do it? Only if you want me to. So he didn't want it. It's called Welcome to the World of Politics. So he said, sir, if you want. And I said, I'd like to have you do it. You're an admiral. You're a great leader. You're a doctor. Incredible family. Zero problem in your past. Zero. I said it about two people. I said that to Admiral/Dr. Ronnie Jackson, and I said it to Brett Kavanaugh. I said, Brett, congratulations, I'm choosing you. And you're going to go so fast, this is going to be so easy. You're perfect. The best education, the best marks, best grades. You're a great intellect, you're a great scholar, you have an incredible family. You have nothing in your past. Brett, he said, this is the greatest day of my life. Thank you, sir. I said, this will go so quickly in the Senate. And they tried to destroy him. And it was false stuff. I'm being nice because it's Montana. It was false. And the same thing with Ronnie Jackson. But with Ronnie Jackson was one man who I don't even know. I never met. He's never called me because he listens to Schumer. He has nothing to call me about. He will listen to whatever Crying Chuck tells him to do. But he doesn't call me. So I don't really know him. He might be a nice guy. But he tried to ruin an admiral. That's as clean-cut, because you have a lot of clean-cut people here. I can see it. But as you take the best person in this group, that's the equivalent of what this man is and his family. And Jon Tester tried to ruin him. In order what? In order so I picked somebody else to run the VA? What was the purpose of it? Really, what was the purpose? It wasn't a political threat. Ronnie didn't even really want to do it in retrospect. I feel guilty because I'm the one that said you should do it because I thought it'd do a great job. And that's why I'm here, and I'm here also for these two great people. So it's a vote really to make Chuck Schumer the majority leader. I don't think you can do that. And to put extreme liberals in charge of every single Senate committee. John Tester says one thing in Montana, but he goes outside and he says the exact opposite in Washington. I mean, let's face it, he's been saying great things about me now. The border, the military, everything's great. But you know what? On Wednesday, the day after the election, he'll be saying the opposite. He won't even be saying. He'll just raise his hand. No, no, no. And there's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing we can do about it. I said that about Joe Manchin in West Virginia. I like Joe a lot. The problem is he'll never vote for us. And he did vote for Justice Kavanaugh, but he voted as soon as Susan Collins made her decision, which we very much appreciate. But as soon as she made that decision, and now we had the votes, and then he, like a quarter of a second later, it was a quarter of a second, she said, and therefore, and I was waiting, because I said, Joe, vote before, don't vote after. Vote when we need your vote, not just because it's good for you in West Virginia. And I don't think it's going to help him in West Virginia. In fact, I think he might have lost his Democrat base by doing it. That's something nobody thought of. But when Joe voted after the vote, by literally seconds, it was like she said, I am going to support, and then boom, Manchin to go. But with Tester, it's an even worse situation. So I'm here for that reason, and we don't want to have somebody that's lockstep with Nancy Pelosi, with Maxine Waters, and crying Chuck Schumer. Remember this, Tester voted against your tax cuts. Tester voted against Kate's Law, which is great stuff. Legislation named after Kate Steinle, who was gunned down by a 5-time deported illegal alien who should have never been here, who would have never been here if I had my way. But we need more votes. We need Democrat votes because we have majorities that are like razor thin. We need more votes. Like in the Senate, we need 10 votes. We need 10. So we have to get 10 Democrat votes. They're not going to do that. There's nothing we can do. We need 60, and we have 51. And out of the 51, we will on occasion lose one. Not often. But Tester voted in favor of sanctuary cities. Tester joined every other Senate Democrat in supporting open border legislation from the now legendary Dianne Feinstein. So look, we have a choice. We need the vote. You'll never get John's vote. You'll never get Tester's vote. No matter what you do, he's always going to vote the way he's told. And you need a man that's going to vote for your agenda. Your agenda is make America great again. That's what your agenda is. It's a simple agenda. It's a very simple, very straightforward agenda. You know, the new campaign is going to be keep America great, right? I don't think, as much as I love Make America Great Again, I don't know that we can carry it forward because people will say, well, what did we do for the last 4 years? Are we still trying to do that? No. We've done so well, and we are ahead of schedule, that fairly soon, I wouldn't sell the caps yet, keep them for old time's sake. They'll be very valuable someday. But our new slogan will be Keep America Great, because that's what we're doing. If you want to stop the radical Democrats, you need to retire John Tester and support Matt Rosendale. Matt, come on up. Matt.
Hello, Gallatin County. Wow. Thank you, Mr. President. It is no secret that Montana loves our great president, huh? Thank you again for another record-breaking trip to Montana. Mr. President, you kept your promises that you made during your campaign, and for that, we are incredibly grateful. Promises kept. I applaud your commitment to fighting for our veterans. And as a proud son and brother of a U.S. Marines, I understand the tremendous sacrifices our veterans have made to this nation. Many veterans are here with us today, and I thank you for your service, and I think we all should give them a tremendous round of applause. You folks know John Tester has had 12 years to fix the problems for the Veterans Administration, and he has failed us. We do not have proper staffing at our facilities. Veterans face long wait times. They can't see the doctors. Many are forced to go out of state to receive their health care. That is unacceptable. I'm tired of the politics and the excuses that have plagued the VA for years now. It absolutely has to stop. Our veterans kept their promises to this nation, and it's about time our nation kept its promises to our veterans. To all of the veterans, you can rest assured, when I'm in the United States Senate, President Trump and I will keep our promises to the veterans. You know, folks, John Tester must think we're a bunch of fools. He pretends that he works with President Trump, but it's all talk. He doesn't work with the president at all, as the president just explained to you. On every major issue, tax cuts, building the wall, Supreme Court justices, John Tester stood in the way and voted no. Tester's last rally was with the former president of Planned Parenthood. I am proud to defend life and proud to have our president standing here with me. Tester has been too wrong for too long. On Tuesday, we can send John Tester and his lobbyist supporters a strong message. Montana is Trump country. Not Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi country. We have 3 days until the election, and we need you to get out and vote. Look at all the incredible work that President Trump has done. He may not be on the ballot this year, but I will tell you, his policies are. President Trump needs our help right now to win this race. I need your help right now to win this race. So please, go tell your friends, your family, and your neighbors, go vote. Let's win this race and send John Tester back to Big Sandy. Are you with me? Are you with me? All right. Mr. President, thank you for being here today. Thank you all so much for coming out today. May God bless each and every one of you and these great United States.
Thank you, Matt. You know, Matt was a very successful guy. He didn't need to do this. Okay, no, I didn't either, of course. We both did. But you know, we're having fun. I'm having fun because we are winning. We're winning so much. We're winning. And that's what we want. We're all winning together. It's not me. We're all in this together. We're winning together. But he was a very successful man. He wanted to do this, and I said, go ahead. Then he did fantastically, really coming out of nowhere, did incredibly in the primaries, and he's a great, great candidate, and he'll be a fantastic senator. He'll represent you well. So I hope you can get out there and vote for Matt Rosendale. Okay? Another man who is incredible, actually, and so supportive, and he's been, from day one, he's been just a fantastic representative of Montana. Member of Congress, Congressman Greg Gianforte. He is fantastic. Greg, come up, please. Greg is great on jobs. He's tough on crime. And he will always support our veterans, our military, our police, and our Second Amendment. And Greg's opponent, Kathleen Williams, is a left-wing radical. I don't get it. What's going on in Montana? What's happening here? But truly, a left-wing radical who wants to massively raise your taxes and eliminate your borders. Williams supports Nancy Pelosi's and, of course, Maxine Waters' cap and trade bill. That's another beauty, right? And would kill the Montana coal industry immediately. I mean, immediately, if they get in. If she wins, your Second Amendment, and I know this is not something that's very popular around here, your Second Amendment would be in big trouble. That's not a good talking point for them. So if you don't want to say the word Speaker Pelosi for the next 2 years, hopefully you can elect and extend for a long time my friend Greg. He's a tremendous guy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Two quick things. I want to thank you for giving me the great honor to be your lone voice back in the U.S. House. Thank you. And to this great president, Mr. President, on behalf of every person here in Montana, thank you for giving us hope again.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you. Done a fantastic job. And he's very respected in Washington. I can tell you some are respected and some aren't. I can tell you the ones that are and the ones that aren't. And he is. And Matt will be when he gets there. That's no doubt about that. If Democrats get the majority, one of their first projects will be a socialist takeover of American health care. You've been seeing it, meaning taxes like you've never seen before. The Democrat plan would obliterate Medicare and eliminate Medicare Advantage for more than 40,000 Montana seniors. You know, the Montana seniors are, a lot of them here, credible people. They depend on it. It would be obliterated. Republicans will protect Medicare for our great seniors who earned it and who, by the way, paid for it, right? They paid for it. And Republicans will always protect patients with pre-existing conditions. I wish people would get that into their heads because the other side is fighting it's the only thing they have. They have nothing else. We're going to protect pre-existing conditions. You heard it here. You've been hearing it from me for a long time. Remember Social Security, what I said during the debates, and everybody disagreed with me? We haven't touched your Social Security, right? We haven't touched it. Democrats' plan to destroy health care also includes raiding Medicare to fund benefits for illegal immigrants. I know the people of Montana do not mind that at all. As we speak, Democrats are openly encouraging millions of illegal aliens to violate our laws, disrespect our rules, and overrun our borders. They don't mind. They don't mind. They want them to come in. Look at what's going on in California with your gubernatorial candidate. Come on in. We're going to pay for your school, your education. You know, I jokingly said a couple of weeks ago, and then everybody's going to get a Rolls Royce. And the fake news, one particular person, he said that they're going to get Rolls Royces, and that is not true. Do you believe it? You can't tell a joke with these people. You can't be sarcastic with these people. I'm only kidding. They're not giving out Rolls Royces, please, okay? Fake news. The Democrat Party, not the Democratic Party, but the Democrat Party wants to sign illegal aliens up for free health care, free welfare, free education. And what do they really want? The right to vote. Because they figure that's the way they stay in office forever. Remember that. That's a big move. Illegal immigration costs American taxpayers more than $100 billion every single year, roughly 10 times the entire state budget of Montana. We need to use our precious resources to help Americans who follow our laws, not to reward illegal aliens who break into our country and break our laws. Democrat immigration policies also enable drug smuggling, human trafficking, and criminal cartels. Think of it. Human trafficking. Do you know how bad? That's the lowest form of human being that does that. They kidnap people, many, many women. They kidnap and they human traffic. And they're doing it in the world, worldwide. The number one, it's never been worse than it is right now because of the computer, because of the internet. It's never been like it is. Think of what human trafficking is. You would have thought that died out 300 years ago. It's at the highest level it's ever been now because of the internet. And we are fighting it hard. We're doing very well. It's horrible. Nearly 100% of heroin in the United States enters through the southern border. Along with roughly 90% of cocaine, the majority of meth, and a substantial portion of the ultra-lethal fentanyl, which is killing our youth. These drugs kill 70,000 plus Americans every single year. That's 70,000 that we know of. Destroy the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. Last year alone, our brave, and you have to listen to this because this number is unbelievable. Our ICE officers arrested more than 127,000 criminal aliens. Can you imagine? These are criminal aliens. These aren't like, and they want to get rid of ICE. Even you in Montana, you're not going to be able to walk around. You'll be locking those doors. You'll be locking those windows. You'll be saying, oh, I wish we had Matt. I wish we had Matt representing us in the Senate. Including those charged or convicted of 48,000 assaults, 12,000 sex crimes, and 1,800 homicides. You know, you don't hear that. I'm the only one that tells you the facts. You don't hear that. Yet instead of applauding ICE as great national heroes, these are strong people. We're not going to send weak people to take care of MS. These are strong people, but they're great patriots. They love our country. The Democrats want to abolish ICE. They want to turn America into a giant sanctuary city for gang members and MS-13 killers, if they had their choice. But we're stopping them. They never thought they'd have a force like this. This was supposed to be a clear path. Guess what? This movement got in their way. This movement got in their way. And now, not only in their way, but now we're pushing it way back where it came from. Came from hell. Republicans believe our country should be a sanctuary for law-abiding Americans, not criminal aliens. And Republicans will always stand with the heroes of ICE and Border Patrol and your great law enforcement. And border security is also very much a woman's issue. You know, 2 years ago, the fake news media was saying, I don't know if this Trump is going to do well with the women. And they said it. I love you too. I love you. No, they said, you remember, will he do? I used to say to people, I said, what's wrong with what's going on here? Except a thing called an election took place. And after the election, in between their tears as they were crying, they were saying, man, did he do well with women. Did he do well? You saw the numbers. The numbers are the numbers. But women want security. They want financial security, but they want security. They don't want to see, you saw these caravans. They don't want that caravan. And by the way, 4 others that are forming. Okay? In countries that we give tremendous amounts, hundreds of millions of dollars a year to in aid. Right? Not anymore. They don't do anything for us. They talk. They talk. They don't do for us. And that's about it for them, because I tell you what, I've had it. They call up, oh, we're working so hard. In the meantime, Honduras and El Salvador and all these places, it's horrible what they're doing to us. It's horrible. And Mexico's trying, but I think maybe they could try a little bit harder. What do you think? You think? But I will say these people were vicious, and they broke through into Mexico, throwing rocks and stones. This is the second caravan, which is made up of some very tough young people. Very tough. Criminals in some cases. In many cases, they'll say, do you have proof? Yeah, I have proof. They threw stones in the police's face. They hurt Mexican police. They hurt Mexican military very badly. They broke through. You saw it. It was on television. It was terrible. And so Mexico is trying. They are trying. But we're different. We more than try. We have our military now on the border. And I noticed all that beautiful barbed wire going up today. It was barbed wire used properly can be a beautiful sight. Women want safe neighborhoods for their families, great schools for their children, and they want violent predators like we're talking about to be thrown in jail or thrown the hell out of our country, and that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. And you know, I've been badly criticized over the last 3 or 4 days because we've built the greatest economy in the history of our nation. Jobs, you people are big beneficiaries. Every state. I mean, look at Alaska. We got ANWR approved. Look what we're doing for every place. Every state. Oh, we have some Alaskans. Are you from Alaska? Wow, look at them. They're going crazy. You should. I handed you about $5 trillion, right? It's one of the largest oil reserves in the world. I got it approved. Started with Ronald Reagan. They couldn't get it approved. Nobody could get it approved all the way back, and we got it approved. So that's good. Oh, they're from Alaska. That's great. Give my warmest regards. They need warm regards. Give my warmest regards. Thank you, fellas. That's very nice. But we do a job, and I get criticized because they say, you know, by the way, if I did it the other way, they criticize me in this, but they say, why is he talking about the border? Like they're doing me favors, right? CNN doing me a favor, tell me what to say. Right? CNN is telling me how to run the campaign, but in the meantime, I'm president and they're not. And their ratings aren't very good either, by the way. You know what? If they'd break it up a little bit, give me like 1 out of 10, 1 out of 20 good stories. You know, like North Korea. Like, give me a decent story on North Korea. Give me anything. The economy, give me a good story. Okay? You know, if the other administration had continued, our economy would have crashed, our country would have crashed, we would have been in a depression because the regulations made it impossible. It was heading down when I took over. And they like to say, well, Obama helped. He didn't help. We were going down, folks. We were going down. We were going down. We were going down. But they were telling, giving me advice, a lot of them. Oh, just so bad, so pathetic. MSNBC, you ever watch this garbage? MSNBC telling me what to do. They've been hitting me for years now. It's actually hard to believe you can get elected. You turn on and it's nothing but fake news, horrible news. I don't mind a bad story if it's deserved. But when you do something great and they make it sound fair, just like okay, you can't make it sound. They try to make it horrible, but you do good stuff and they try and make it sound as bad. MSNBC is probably worse than CNN. All right? It's probably worse than CNN. But when you do this, and then they tell you, he's got the greatest economy. Why is he talking about the border? Well, you can only say so many times that we just created 250,000 jobs last month, right? Now, I could say it over and over and over again, and you'd appreciate it. But instead of this massive crowd that's totally filling up this big hangar, that is a big hangar, so much so that we have to go outside. We're only outside because we pick up more space. And I assume the outside space is cheaper. I hope you didn't pay for the outside space. But once I say 250, and then I say again 250 and again, and I tell you I can only go for 4 or 5 minutes with that stuff. And then the crowd says, we love you, and they start dwindling off. But what I do is talk about some of the problems that we have. Our economy is doing great, okay? They think I should do it. Even some of the Republicans, they said to me, except Steve Daines doesn't think that. He thinks I should talk about problems that we want to straighten out. Because when we're fixing a problem or fixed a problem, there's no reason to go on about it for 45 minutes. But we have a problem at the border. We have a problem with illegal immigration. And the problem is that the Democrats will not allow us to change the dumbest laws in the history of the world on immigration. Because we need their votes, and we don't have their votes. Or we could get more Republicans, which I'd like even better. But unless we get more Republicans, they have to change the laws. And if they don't change the laws, we're going to have the problem. But now we're just going to toughen up with the existing laws, and that's what we're doing. We're basically stuck with these horrible laws, and we're toughening up our border like never before. And that's the way it is. But we have to talk about it. So the networks may criticize me by saying, why doesn't he talk about the great economy? And I just did. But now we talk about problems that we want to fix. So we're stuck with rotten laws, but we have some very good people, and there's nobody like our great military, especially since we fixed it. And this election is about security, and this election is about jobs. For years you watched as we let foreign countries plunder our wealth, steal our jobs. You saw it. You were victims of it. But those days are over. We've added nearly 500,000 manufacturing jobs. That number's going up rapidly, too, by the way. Remember, you'd need a magic wand. We're not going to manufacture, right? I never understood that one. We're not going to manufacture anymore. Previous administration. You need a magic wand to bring. Well, we did 32,000 last month. We got manufacturing jobs alone. Very shortly, we're going to be up to 600,000 new, beautiful manufacturing jobs. You know why? Because companies are pouring back into our country. They're coming back to Michigan, car companies in Ohio and North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida. They're coming back like you wouldn't believe. They're coming here. They're coming all over. Now, we made a great new deal with Canada so you don't get ripped off anymore because you've been hurt by Canada, and we love Canada. We love their national anthem, too, right? Do we love it? Oh, Canada. Would anybody like to sing, Oh, Canada? But they were not treating us well. They weren't treating us fairly. Now we have a wonderful new deal with Canada, a wonderful new deal with Mexico. It's great. But we're now taking in 1,000 jobs a day, and these are industrial, beautiful, manufacturing jobs. It's the most in over 20 years. Nobody thought that could happen again. I recently announced that we're replacing that horrible NAFTA deal, one of the worst trade deals ever made in history. Nobody talks about that. You look all over this country, you still have steel mills, you still have factories that are empty, that are dead for years because they moved to Mexico and Canada. And we're replacing it with the new U.S., Mexico, Canada agreement called the USMCA, which I like. YMCA. If you have a problem with it, just think of YMCA. Think of the song. And every time you say the USMCA, just think of the song and start dancing, because that's how good the agreement is. The USMCA is a great victory for Montana farmers and ranchers and dairy producers. We've taken the toughest ever action to crack down on China's very abusive trade practices. And now they're paying big tariffs on $250 billion, and that could rise very sharply. Or we might make a deal. And if we don't, that's okay. And if we do, that's okay. I'm happy either way. I'm a happy person. I'm a very happy person. I'm a much happier person than you would believe. But America is respected again. Every day it's promises made, promises kept. That's what we're doing. We've made promises, but we've delivered on much more than the promises that we stated during the campaign. We've taken bold action to reduce the price of prescription drugs, and you see that. Last week I signed the initial document. You're going to see drug prices come down substantially. And a month ago, I called up Pfizer and Novartis. I called up these great drug companies. They're great companies. And I said, they raised the price. You saw that. They announced a big price increase. Big. I called up the head. I said, what are you doing? You can't do that. I'm reducing the price of drugs. And, you know, the following afternoon, I got a call back. Sir, we've decided to roll back. We are not going to increase the price of drugs. And then I realized how powerful it is to be the President of the United States. It's the first time they've ever done that. They rolled it back. And I thank Pfizer, and I thank Novartis, and I thank all the other companies that did. They rolled them back. But we're going to be reducing. To help critically ill patients get life-saving treatments, we just passed, they've been trying to get this for decades and decades, right to try. Nobody in this group hopefully ever has to use it. But you now have the right to go and get drugs that are in the pipeline if you're terminally ill or very sick. And you can get drugs that you weren't allowed. You know why you weren't allowed? Because they didn't want to hurt you. I said, the person's very sick. They're not going to be around. They're okay. They wanted to. And they said, we can't do it legal. I said, well, you sign a document where you're exculped from liability as a nation for allowing them to do this. They said, that's a good idea. It's actually incredible. But it's more complicated than that. It wasn't easy. It was for 40 some odd years. And we had a lot of help. Greg helped a lot. Greg helped a lot. Greg helped a lot on that one, and I appreciate it. So did Steve. The combination of those two. But in the House, Steve, wouldn't you say Greg was one of our big pushers of that one, right? That was really something, Steve. Thank you. Those two guys were great. But it's wonderful. You know, people used to be terminally ill. They go and travel all over the world. They go to Asia. They go to Europe. They go to Africa. There'd be some kind of a thing that they heard of. We have a pipeline that's got some of the greatest potential for getting better ever in our history. And you weren't allowed through criminal procedures to even think about using it. Now you can use it. And we've had some phenomenal results, by the way. So that was 3 months ago. And last month, I proudly signed the largest bill to fight the opioid epidemic in American history. Fighting hard. We passed Veterans' Choice, and it's such a big thing for Matt. You heard the way he talked. But we got it passed, and now it's being perfected. But having Matt in the Senate will be phenomenal. But we've done a lot. And Doc Ronnie, Admiral Ronnie, got badly hurt. But I will tell you, we have a great new Secretary of the VA. He's doing a phenomenal job. Phenomenal job. Doing a great job. He's doing a great job. But we're giving Montana's great veterans now the right to see a doctor, a private doctor, if they have to wait online, if that line is long with it. I mean, people were waiting online for 10 days, 30 days, 40, 50 days. I mean, Steve will tell you, we had stories, and I kept saying, why don't you let them go see a doctor? Number one, by far, it's more important, but number one, they get better fast. Number two, we actually save a lot of money because they get sicker and sicker. They can't get to a doctor. We have people that were sick, but not badly, and by the time they see the doctor, they're terminally ill. And that's no more. They have choice. They could go, they can see a private doctor, and we pay the bill. And we also passed the VA accountability law to ensure anyone who mistreats our veterans, this has been going on for a long time, is accountable. So we say, you mistreated our veteran, Jim. Jim, you're fired. You're fired. Get him out. Get him out. Get him out of here. No, we had people that were sadists. I mean, stories you wouldn't even believe. You don't want to hear about this. Too many young people here. Too many young, innocent. They're probably not so innocent, especially coming from Montana. But they're young, innocent people. But things that you wouldn't believe were happening, and you couldn't do anything. You couldn't do anything. Now you can fire them immediately. You get them out. We secured $700 billion and $716 billion to fully rebuild the United States military, which it needed. It was very depleted. It was tired. It was exhausted from fighting all over the place. We're fighting. We're defending all these rich nations and not giving us anything. Those days are soon changing. You see what's going on. I'd say, why are we defending this nation when they're so wealthy? Well, sir, they're a great ally. They're not a great ally. We're taking care of their military. It's a very unfair thing. That's all changing. Well, I thought it was a fighter jet. It didn't sound that good, though. The fighter jets, the new F-35s, sound slightly better than that plane. And we're purchasing the finest planes in the world. We make the finest equipment in the world. By the way, much less importantly in this case, but it's all made in the USA, everything. Tanks, missiles. We're purchasing all of that great equipment. We make the best missiles, we make the best tanks, we make the best rockets, we make the best of everything, all made in the USA, all brand new, all perfect stuff. Our military will very shortly be, far and away, the strongest it's ever been in the history of our nation, and hopefully we will never have to use it. And you know the way you don't have to use it? By doing exactly what I'm doing. Okay? You go the other way, you'll end up having to use it, and it won't be pretty. At my direction, the Pentagon is now working to create the sixth branch of the American Armed Forces, the Space Force. That's good. That's good. Space Force. That's where it's at. You know, it's like, sounds a little bit out there, but it is out there. Oh, that's beautiful. Hold that up. Look, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's happening. Everyone wants it. But that's where it's at. That's where the future of the military, big portions of the military is at. So we're going to be the Space Force, and that'll go pretty quickly. It's already started. I withdrew the United States from the horrible one-sided Iran nuclear deal. And we just announced that we are putting in place the biggest sanctions that we've ever placed on any country. The Iranian regime, what a deal they made. $150 billion, $1.8 billion in cash. You know, anybody know what a $1.8 billion in cash looks like? I don't even know. I don't know. No, who knows? Plane loads. Ridiculous. We've recognized the capital of Israel and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. Together, we've made extraordinary progress, and we're just getting started. But the Democrats want to turn back the clock, put America in reverse, and give power back to a corrupt, selfish ruling class that only looks for power and for themselves. But we are not going back. We are only going forward. we need you to vote for a Republican House and a Republican Senate so we can continue this incredible movement, the greatest movement in political history, the greatest movement our country has ever seen. And with your votes, we will keep on cutting your taxes, reducing your regulations, and raising your incomes. And that's what's been happening. Your incomes have been going up. We will protect Medicare, and we will protect your Social Security, which they cannot do. We will defend your right to free speech, religious liberty, and we will continue to confirm judges who will interpret the Constitution as written. We will fully secure the border. We will pass Kate's Law. We will stop sanctuary cities, stop catch and release, end the visa lottery, end chain migration. You know how bad that is. And we will keep the criminals, drug dealers, terrorists, the hell out of our country. We will lift millions of our citizens from welfare to work, dependence to independence, and poverty to prosperity. For years you watched as your leaders apologized for America. You saw that? They apologized for our country. Now you have a president who is standing up for America. We are standing up for your values. We are standing up for Montana, and we are proudly standing up for our national anthem. I am asking every citizen from every party, every background, and every race, color, and creed to reject Democrat politics of anger and division and reclaim our proud and righteous destiny as Americans. We need you to get your family, get your friends, get your neighbors, get your co-workers, and go out and vote Republican. This Tuesday, I need the people of Montana to send crying Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and the radical Democrats a message and this is such a great message, by voting for Greg Gianforte and Matt Rosendale. So important. Loyal citizens like you help build this country, and together we are taking back our country, and we are returning power to where it belongs, with you, the American people. That's what's happening. Again, that's what's happening. This great state was built by tough frontiermen and strong pioneer women who braved the wilderness to build a life and a home under the big, bright, beautiful Montana sky that the whole world talks about. The whole world. The whole world talks about it. And I know why. It is big and beautiful. They didn't have a lot of money. They didn't have a lot of luxury. But they all had one thing in common. They loved their families. They loved their country. And they loved their God. These incredible, courageous Americans did not shed their blood, sweat, and tears so that we could sit at home while others tried to erase their legacy, tear down our history, and destroy our proud American heritage. They didn't do it for that. They don't want to sit back and watch. They're not going to. For the sake of our freedom and for the sake of our children, we are going to work, we are going to fight, and we are going to win, win, win. We will not bend. We will not break. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never back down. We will never surrender. And we will always fight on to victory. Always. Because we are Americans and our hearts bleed red, white, and blue. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together, Montana, we will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Montana. Thank you. Thank you very much.